I'm in Shenandoah National Park at Gravel Springs Gap. This is mile marker 17. The elevation here is about 2655. Here's the parking lot over there. This is a real popular parking lot because the Appalachian Trail runs right through there. There's Skyline Drive. And here's the Appalachian Trail right here, the white blazing. But we're going to go down this Browntown Trail. This is an old abandoned road that's now used as a trail. So we're going to head on down here to the edge of the park and then back up again, see what we can find. Just a few feet down the trail, the Appalachian Trail branches off to the right here. There's a tree with a white blaze on it. So there's the Appalachian Trail, but we're going to go this way down this old abandoned road and see what we can find. I'm about a half a mile into my hike now. The elevation here is about 2,500 feet, and I just thought I'd do a little pan here to show you what the road looks like. This is a pretty easy hike so far. It's a wide road, and the grass has not grown up. It doesn't have a lot of tall grass, so it's easy to walk on. In fact, if you look down at the ground here, the leaves are starting to fall off some of the trees now. You can see some leaves laying down there. So anyway, that's where I came from, going up the side of the mountain. Here's a kind of look up the hill, so to speak. Heavily forested here, as it is in most places in this park. There's where we're going. There's down the hill around a bend there. When I started out this morning, it was about 9:30, and it's cold up here. It was about 48 degrees at the top of the mountain there at the parking lot. I've got a long jacket that I can put on, a real light long jacket, but right now I just have it in my day pack. So we're going to keep on heading down the mountain. I'm about 1.8 miles into my hike now, and that's where I just came from. I just came off the last of the switchbacks, so I think I'm done with the steepest part of it. Here's a look around where I'm going. The road straightens out quite a bit here. It's still got a few bends in it, but it should be fairly straight down to the park boundary. That last half a mile was probably the nastiest part of the hike. I had to hike through some waist-high weeds and even a bunch of spider webs. After I walked through a few spider webs, I finally started putting my poles out in front of me to try and knock them down. So hopefully from here on down it'll be smooth sailing. On the way down the side of the mountain, there's not a whole lot of them here, but I just thought I'd stop because I thought of it now. There's lots and lots of acorns being thrown off by the oak trees. Every few seconds you can hear them come crashing down through the leaves and hit the ground. But there's lots and lots of acorns being thrown off right now by all the oaks in the park. There's a few of them right there. Okay, here we are at the park boundary. The hiking distance to this point is 2.3 miles. The elevation here is 1,440 feet. There's a chain across the road, and over there on that tree where it's blazed red just above there is a park boundary marker. The road continues on down, eventually running into a secondary road down in the valley. But I'm going to turn around here and head back up. This is a nice road if you want a nice, easy hike that's not real steep. This is a pretty good hike. There's no view here right now though until the leaves fall off the trees. Here's the view looking out over the side of the mountain. So you really can't see anything until in the fall when the leaves fall off. But for now, I'm going to turn around and head back up this way and find myself a rocky spot where I can sit down and eat some lunch. Still working my way back up the side of the mountain. I'm at about 1,900 feet now. And this section right here is the section I mentioned earlier on the way down with waist-high weeds and stuff. This goes on for maybe 100 yards, so it's not too bad, but I hate hiking through this stuff because it's just a good place to pick up ticks, and you can't see where you're stepping, so you know, who knows what's down there on the ground, including snakes. But anyway, we got to go through it, so here we go. I got through the tall weeds okay. I checked myself, no ticks, so that's a good sign. It's getting down into the 40s here at night, so it might be getting a little late in the season for ticks. And actually, I haven't noticed a whole lot of bugs in general on today's hike. So it could be late enough in the season now that the overnight temps are starting to knock down the bugs quite a bit. Anyway, there's a look at the road heading uphill. I'm about 2,000 feet now. I got about 600 more vertical feet to climb. It's pretty steep through here though. There's the side of the hill right there, and here's looking down into the abyss. And for now, we keep on hiking straight up the side here. Okay, I'm back up to the Gravel Springs Gap parking lot, and it's only about 12:30, so I'm gonna, instead of eating a trail meal for lunch, I'm gonna get in that red car there and head up to Front Royal and see if I can find something a little more tasty. Here's the range view overlook. The elevation here is about 2,800 feet. This is the Browntown Valley overlook. We're looking down on the area occupied by Browntown, Virginia. And that ridge line over there is the one that I just got done hiking. I hiked down that way pretty far, but not all the way to the bottom, just to the park boundary. That little bump of a mountain over there to the right, if you can see part of Skyline Drive. Hopefully it shows through in the video. I forgot to show you the map that I was using earlier. The quadrangle name of this map is Chester Gap, and it's from 1994. I use these earlier maps because they have more useful hiking information on them than the newer ones do. Here's Skyline Drive right there. This is Gravel Springs Gap. This is where I parked the car, right about here. And then I crossed over Skyline Drive, and here's the old abandoned road. Here's all the switchbacks down to here where it says gate. That's the park boundary. It continues on down the side of the mountain, but I stopped here at the park boundary. And then back up the same way I came, back up to here. So that's the basic hike. Now here's an example of a correctly oriented map. In this on this map there's 12 degrees of western declination for a magnetic compass, which means that a magnetic compass points to the west by 12 degrees compared to grid north, which is this vertical line here. So the way I use these compasses is I dial in 12 degrees of western declination here on my bezel, and then you put the base plate of the compass against one of these vertical grid lines, which is grid north, and then without moving the compass, you turn the map and the compass together like this until the needle goes into the red right there. And then you have a map that's correctly oriented to the earth. One more thing I wanted to explain real quickly. You can find more detailed explanations of this on YouTube, but this is grid north right here. If you want to hike to this point right here, then this angle here, that's your grid bearing. So that would be a bearing based on using this map, because your angle is going to be drawn from here down to here. So that's your grid bearing. Now if you'll notice, way over here, 12 degrees to the west is my magnetic bearing. So for this part of the country where I have western declination, the magnetic bearing angle is greater than the grid angle, just from looking at this picture that I drew. So that means that your magnetic bearing is equal to your grid bearing plus 12 degrees. Or if you write that a different way, your grid bearing would be your magnetic bearing minus 12 degrees. So if you're in the field and you take a magnetic bearing, you have to subtract 12 degrees and then you can draw it on the map as a grid bearing. If you're on the map and you come up with a grid bearing that you want to hike, you have to add 12 degrees to it, and then that's your magnetic compass bearing. So I hope that helps.